Hi everyone, I'm Dhanvi from Shippe, and today we have with us yet another innovative founder who is set to make India healthier and your meals protein rich. Hi Aditya, please tell us more about yourself and about FitFeast.
Hi, Tanvi. Firstly, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me as a guest on your podcast. I'm Aditya, founder at FitFeast. As you know, at FitFeast, we are trying to build India's largest taste-first protein brand. I think the essential problem that we're trying to solve is protein deficiency. Protein has been made to sound very intimidating, something that only bodybuilders, gym rats, or people who are very serious about their fitness should have. We're trying to change that. We're trying to bring protein interesting, exciting, and fun formats like chips, chocolates, nut butters, and convenient sachets. We've been doing this for almost 3 years. Before this, I worked for a couple of years in corporate. And I think FitFeast is going places. Recently, we were on Shark Tank India as well, where we got a 2-star P. We've just onboarded Akshay Patel, Delhi Capitals captain, India's T20 vice captain, as our brand ambassador and investor. And yeah, looking forward to sharing my learnings and learning from you as we speak ahead.
So, you have built a brand in the health focused D2C market, which is a growing space and is actually a very crowded space because Indians are now getting more aware about more healthier options.
Yeah.
So, how do you stand out in such a crowded market where there are a lot of big players already in place?
Yeah. I think firstly to answer this, we need to see in the last 2-3 years what kind of a boost or what kind of a CAGR is the market grown at. So I'll give you a data point for this. If you look at searches for the keyword protein and compare it with the searches for the keyword beauty for the last 5 years, protein is actually above beauty. And if you put that into context, for beauty, there's a company as big as Nykaa that's built, which is IPO. For protein, in there's nothing of similar scale. So this gives us the confidence the market is big enough. Next, coming to the competition, I think every brand stands for something. There's so many brands who are doing so many different things. Some is doing clean label. Someone is doing, let's say, food for diabetics. Someone is doing convenience stands. We are very clear. We want to build the tastiest, better for you protein brand out there. Right? So products could be common, categories would be common. That is inevitable. But our solution to the problem, which is taste plus better for you, our commitment to quality, I think transparency is very important in today's day and age. Recently, there was a report that 70% of the protein supplements are mislabeled. Right? If you're paying for 20 grams of protein, you better have 20 grams of protein, not 15, 16 or 17 grams of protein. Right? So at FitFeast, we made it a very important point in all of our manufacturing process, supply chain procurement process. We do lab testing and multiple ends, separate ingredients are tested, then products are tested to make sure we're able to deliver that quality that we promise, right? And there are a lot of measures to take to ensure that. I think next is just ensuring that as a brand, you want to provide a solution for every hour of the day. So we have multiple categories. We have peanut butters that sort out your breakfast cravings. You have protein chocolates or bars that you can have as a sweet craving post your lunch. We have protein shakes for evening, and then for night we have protein chips. So I think we're one of the very few, the only brand out there that is trying to solve the problem of high protein snacking from a AM to PM standpoint.
Okay. So like you said that India is, I guess, till date, it's very protein deficit because a lot of people in India are vegetarians. So the problem you're solving is, I guess, one of the major problems in nutrition in general. So like you function in multiple categories when it comes to protein. So how do you ensure in terms of research development and your product market fit that you are making protein tastier and more accessible to the general public?
So there are multiple steps involved in the product development and the R&D process. To start with, we don't give the customers what we think the customers want. We start with data. We start with customers. Before launching any product, we do qualitative and quantitative research as to what the customers want and what the data is saying. We look at Google Trends. We look at data on marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart. We see what keywords are searching on all of these platforms. Then we try to identify the white spaces. That let's say there are no searches for protein chips, but only a couple of brands are selling protein chips. And where is the room to improve in those products? We look at the negative reviews of the existing products to ascertain the kind of problems that people are currently facing. Then we talk to our existing customers. Where do they see the white spaces in their current routine, current lifestyle? Right? Combining all of that information, we ascertain that this is a product that we want to launch. Then we have our manufacturer who is also an investor in our brand. He have access to their R&D lab, R&D capabilities. With them, it's a 2 to 4 month process depending on the product. We develop the base recipe of a product. We do a soft launch. We get it tested by multiple people within our team and our customers also. We get prima facie feedback. We pass it on to the manufacturer. And it's an iterative process that can take up to, 5 set of sampling to 15 per set of samplings, depending on, again, how fast we're able to close it. Then post we close the samples, we send it for lab testing to a government approved lab and make sure that what we claim is actually what we're giving to the customers. And post that we package the product in a retail format, get the packaging done, get all of the, how to ship that product to the customer, because one part is getting the product, one part is getting the experience. Yeah, that is also very important. We work on that experience part and eventually launch the product on website.
So following up on experience, F&B is a very fast moving industry. So how do you streamline your logistics or say your supply chain to give the best customer experience?
So for logistics, we have tied up with a third-party aggregator. We have access to all of the top couriers, and we see F&B is an impulse purchase category. People really don't want to wait 3 to 5 days to get a protein chips or like a protein chocolate or a bar delivered to their doorstep. So we really overinvest in the from a logistics point of view to get the product delivered faster. We only ship at top couriers like Blue Dart Delivery, etc. The focus is maximizing the delivery percentages. One problem that most brand faces RTOs. This was a very crucial problem in the last 6 months for us. Our RTOs as high as 50 to 20%, even 25% in certain months, and now I'm very proud to inform that it's less than 10%. Taken a lot of measures for that, which we can discuss later. So it is about that.
Okay, so when we talk about D2C brands, what happens is they generally have a star product initially, and then they go around and build different categories around it. But you, very early on, you started with a multi-category brand. So how do you scale as a multi-category brand in the D2C space in India today? Also, what advantages or disadvantages do you feel are that of a multi-category?
I think the biggest reason for going into multiple categories and being category agnostic from the very start was ticket size. It's very hard to have a ticket size or a AOV above 700 to 800 if you're only doing a single product like a peanut butter. People can only buy a certain amount of peanut butter. Someone who buys peanut butter will mostly also buy a protein sachet or a protein chocolate or a protein chip. That was the reason we wanted to materialize the customer acquisition cost against the LTV of the customer. That is why we went into multiple categories from the very start. Right? I think the advantage is obviously one is ticket size. Second is we have opportunities for a lot of cross-selling and upselling. Let's say if someone is buying 500 rupees worth of product, there's opportunity to sell them chips, chocolates and whatnot, right? So there's opportunities for a lot of cross-selling. Third is, I think from a perspective, you have more recall also, because every product is from a different hour of the day. Generally, like peanut butter is for breakfast, chips is for your munchies, generally during evening or night, shades is for evening. So it allows us to be present for the entire snacking life cycle of a customer from a daily standpoint, right? I think disadvantage is, one obvious is working capital. You have to have no inventory. Second is bandwidth. You have to ensure quality across multiple form factors like powder, chips, chocolate. And I think these are the two obvious ones. But in return for that, we are able to profitably scale the brand because we have multiple categories among our brand.
Okay, so following up on what you said, food is generally very retention heavy. Like if a customer likes a product, they tend to buy it more. So how do you ensure customer loyalty and how do you retain customers? Like what strategies do you use or channel do you use?
So from my perspective, there are two ways to look at it. One is your product. Nothing can beat your product. If you sell your product to a customer, if your product is pathetic, they will not repeat, irrespective of how many WhatsApp messages you sent them, right? So a product has to speak for itself. And in the health category, the communication regarding the product has to be very important. So I'll give you an example. We have a protein sachet, right? It has 20 grams of protein per 50 gram. It is not the highest protein percentage, but it has digestive enzymes which help in reducing bloating. It has vitamins and minerals which are good from a functionality standpoint. So communicating all of that to the customer in a very easy to understand way is very important. And that when the customer realizes that it has, multiple other nutrients, has all the goodness, then they're more likely to repeat. Right. So I think number one is product plus your communication. Number two is keeping that recall in that customer's mind and distribution. So in D2C, we see a lot of customers move from our website for the first purchase to Amazon, Flipkart, Quick Commerce for the second purchase. The general behavior, right? Then you have to be present on Amazon, Flipkart, and Quick Commerce to be able to have that customer choose you for the second, third purchase. Because customers, as much as they want the product, they want convenience, they want instant gratification in these categories. So we do that by maintaining the recall. We send monthly WhatsApp messages. We do email marketing. We run retargeting ads on Meta. We do segmented retargeting as well. And from a distribution standpoint, we just went live on Zepto 3 months back in 50 plus cities. So do check us out on Zepto. We are live on all the major marketplaces, Amazon, Flipkart. And when that is a distribution plus recall.
You mentioned that you are operating on multiple channels, including your own D2C website, e-commerce, marketplaces, and QuickCom now. So how do you scale in each of these channels? Because I feel with more channels, more brands are crowding into such spaces. So how do you ensure that your brand is visible over there?
Yeah. So I think I'll answer it from a platform standpoint. For us, number one is our own website. We are running ads on Meta to redirect traffic to our own website, and I think we are pretty good at it. We understand how Meta works, how CPMs and CPCs work on Meta. So we are able to generate a good set of creatives every week to speak to a customer in a very authentic manner. We don't spend a lot of money on ads. We do raw shoots on a weekly basis with micro influencers, and we genuinely try to communicate the goodness of the product. Like for example, for peanut butter, we try to highlight the different flavors we have that cater to different taste palettes, like white chocolate, spicy, butterscotch. So one is regarding communication with the customer. And what was the other question?
That how do you make yourself visible on
on the different platforms? Yeah. So on the website, it's through Meta ads. Then coming to Quick Commerce, so we are live with Zepto. Zepto, we are doing search ads. Again, I think it's very algorithm focused, ensuring that you're able to get clicks at a decent cost. Then ensuring that price parity is there among all the platforms. It should not be a product is, let's say, listed on 500 on Amazon and 300 on Zepto. No one will buy from Zepto. No one will buy from Amazon. People will go to Zepto. They'll do their research from 4-5 platforms, then come to the lowest platform. So price should be competitive across platforms. Then you should ensure that you have enough, recall built across platforms. So if you do Quick Commerce, there are multiple brands trying to sell similar products, right? So you need to have that moat, that advantage among the other brands. So for us, we were on Shark Tank recently, and we also signed Akshar. So we're leveraging a lot of content around that, which is allowing us to sort of stand out in a sea of brands. And then I think once the customer try out the product, then they really are able to see the value of it. They see it's actually unique, the taste is good, the form factor is different and all of that. But for them, they haven't tried the product first. Then from a marketplace standpoint, Amazon, Flipkart, it's again pay-per-click heavy. We need to ensure that anyone who's searching for a brand are actually able to see our brand. Otherwise, competitors can also bid for a brand keyword. And when we do well on our own website and Quick Commerce, organically a lot of traffic comes to an Amazon and Flipkart Text. So we saw a net around 3x spike in revenue. Then a lot of vital problems like RTO problem I mentioned before Shark Tank, where RTO was around 20-25%. After Shark Tank, it was less than 10%. Our prepaid orders went up from 50% before Shark Tank to around 50% after Shark Tank. So one thing was very obvious. People started trusting the brand more, And then we were able to accentuate that growth by also signing Akshar around the same time. So there were two very credible events happening back to back, which really helped us go. So we see ourselves as India's top taste buzz protein brand. We want to be synonymous with tasty protein snacking. So any category that can have high protein and that can be tasty is something that FitFeast would potentially get into. I think one thing I have learned is be patient and keep experimenting. A lot of things will go wrong, and I can tell you one thing from my experience that things that you could never imagine would go wrong would also go wrong. So be prepared for that. Be prepared that your website might stop working at 12 in the night, or the manufacturer might not be able to deliver that imported shipment, or your 3P shipping partner might stew up. All these problems, be mentally prepared, but know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you keep persisting, if you keep going through all of those tough phases, then and I think at a certain point serendipity kicks in. And one of my earliest angel investors told me a very important line I remember to this day, that there would be tough times every time. You just have to survive. But if you are in it for the long run, then your chances of getting lucky increase significantly. So you might be doing the same thing, but you might meet an investor, or you might meet a B2B client, or you might meet someone involved that can totally change the trajectory of the business. So be in it for the long term, keep experimenting, be fine with failure, and yes, be very passionate about what you're doing. I think that is very basic.
So thank you so much. And for more such content, please like, share and subscribe to Shift.